Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For any newcomers, welcome. I really appreciate everyone watching my videos. It truly means so much. I do try to post new videos every Monday, but in the off chance that I do not, if you subscribe to my channel and click the bell, you will be notified when a new video does come out. So that way, if you miss a Monday, you won't wonder, did I miss one of her videos? Or if I don't post a video on a Monday, you won't be wondering if you missed it. So be sure to do that. Also, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up. It just lets me know that you're liking the content and to keep doing more videos. So also be sure to watch to the very end of all my videos, but I try to do a sneak peek of what videos could be coming up next. And so with that being said, in my last video, if you watched it, I gave a sneak peek with these two glitter colors. So this is the tumbler we're working on today. It is a 20-ounce skinny. And so I just spray painted it with Rust-Oleum's white spray paint. And then I took some painter's tape and I taped off the top and the bottom, leaving the center exposed. And I did this because I wanted that band of glitter in the center. So once I taped it off, I took some Mod Podge and just went around the center and put on my glitters with using the Mod Podge method. Now, what I'm doing here is after the glitter and the paint and everything had dried, I did go outside and I spray sealed it with Rust-Oleum's 2x clear gloss, and I had it in my paint tent, and the wind got up and knocked the paint tent over, and my cup got dirty. So I brought it inside and washed it off, but it still was not as bright and white as I wanted it to. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking some white acrylic paint and just going over with white. And I'm just sort of taking my time here and being careful not to get into the band of glitter that I've already created. And I did want to sort of have the glitters intertwine a little bit, sort of not really like an ombre, but I didn't want just a clear definition of this is the green and this is the peachy orange color. I wanted it to sort of blend into one another. So, um, so that's why the glitter is the way that it is because that's the design that I'm going for. And once the tumbler is completed, I think it's going to look good and it's going to make sense. So, but you can see right here, I'm just being careful not to get up into the glittered areas. So we're just adding some more paint here, and I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys so that we can move on to the next step in creating this tumbler. Wow, I'm tired. Okay, so we're going to jump over to the computer here. This is Creative Fabrica's website. I've mentioned them before, and I was just on my download page. Now I have gone to, I'm looking for a retro font. So in the search bar, I typed in retro, and you can see here it's bringing up all the different retro files that are available. Some could be embroidery files, some are SVGs, some are printable fonts. There's really no limit as to what all they supply and have at Creative Fabrica. So I'm just scrolling down looking for this particular one. I thought I had already downloaded it, but when I went to my downloads, I couldn't find it. So it could be called something other than retro font. I will know it when I see it. um, but you can just see, I mean, it's endless multitude of files. And once again, you can get fonts, you can get embroidery files, you can receive sewing patterns. They have SVGs, all sorts of things. So, again, I will put their link in the description box and you can go check them out. Membership is $4.99 a month, billed as $59 for the year. So, and everything comes with a commercial and personal use license. Well, most everything does. Just make sure you read each one. Um, but most of them do. So, and I'm sorry, I found a font I mean an alphabet that I liked. So I'm going to save that real quick. But so check them out. The link will be in the description, as I just mentioned. But I'm not finding the font that I am looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up to the top of the website page. And there is a section that's just says fonts. And I'm going to click on that and see if I can find it there. Okay, so I've gone up to the font section and you can see they have different categories there. And I'm just going to click on Browse All. Because like I said, I know what I'm looking for once I see it. And I'm pretty sure it's one of the top fonts right now. So I'm just going to scroll down and you'll see there's Popular This Week. There's the Mismatched Socks that I've mentioned before in a previous video. Love that font. So I'm just going to look here. There's retro fonts, vintage, and there's the one I'm looking for right there. The one that says retro. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you'll see here that it is an exclusive to Creative Fabrica. And it does say I've already downloaded the file, but I'm going to download it again so that I will have it. And as you can see, I'm in my die cutting software. My die cut is called a Pazzles. I will link them down below in the description box. It is an older die cut machine, but it still works great and I absolutely love it. I'm not sure if they're still selling them or not, but I do know they do still have a website. So I will, again, link them down below if anyone's interested in checking out this die cut machine. There isn't anything that it can't do, and I absolutely love the software and how it works. But moving on to the tumbler I'm calling this one the Jesus Word Tumbler. And my intent is to have the name Jesus in the center of the tumbler and all the things that Jesus is and represents on the tumbler spread out sporadically. So you can see I have Jesus typed up 3 different times, and I do have an outline or an offset, as it's also called, around each word. I have a 0.03 offset or outline and a 0.06, also a 0.09. Those dimensions may be different with your cutting machine and software, so just be aware of that. But I'm just typing up words that Jesus represents, words that he is also called, and I've misspelled Yahweh. So let me go back and fix that. But I'm sorry, I got distracted there for just a moment. So that is the idea behind this tumbler. Okay, so what I wanted to go back a little bit to the word Jesus. I want you to see here how the E comes into the S and the U comes into the S. Now, if we are cutting these with vinyl, you're going to have two cuts. You're going to have a cut for the E tail and you're going to have a cut into the S. And so it's not going to look right. Now, if you pulled the E tail out and left the cut part of the S on there, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. The thing is, you don't want any overlaps with your vinyl. It just makes it bulky. And that's why I cut the vinyl the way that I cut it. And I'll show here in a second about that. But so what we're going to do is we're going to merge those together so that when they're merged, it's just one fluid, continuous vinyl cutting. So I hope that makes sense. But I wanted to back up and show that to you. So let me show you a close-up on the word Prince of Peace. Now you can see where the letters interlock with one another. But again, if I try to cut that, it's just going to be so many cuts and the letters aren't going to look right, because even if you, for example, on this E and A, if you pull that tail off of the E, you're still going to have like a cut line for the A. And even if you put that piece back down for the A, you're going to be able to see the cut lines. So I don't want that. So let's go ahead and merge those together. Here we go. See? Now you can see the letters just run into one another. It's one continuous word. There's no separation. So that's what I mean when I say I'm merging the words together. I'm just making them into one continuous cursive word. Here I've just gone ahead and I've done my 3 separate outlines, the 0.09, 0.06, and 0.03. And I did that because I plan on using 3 different colors of vinyl and layering those vinyls. But once again, the way that I cut mine, I'm not going to be cutting the offset, which is this. I'm not going to be cutting the offset and then layering this vinyl on top of the vinyl. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting it as one piece, which will create an outline within itself. So I can just weed that out and it won't make the vinyl so bulky, especially since we're doing 3 different layers. So again, I hope that makes sense. And hopefully later on in the video, as you're watching, you'll see what I'm trying to explain here. But when you do it all the time, like we do, like crafters do, it just becomes second nature. And it's sort of hard to actually explain because we do it all the time. It's just, we don't even think about it. So now I'm just grouping them together so that if I have to move them, none of the pieces come apart. So this is my cut screen. And the big square is representative of my cutting mat. So it's a 12 by 12 inch. So what I'm doing here is I'm just deleting the ones that's outside of the square. It doesn't delete the work that you've done. Once I go back to my main screen, all of the words I've typed up will still be there. This is just the cutting screen. So I have all my words there that I want to cut out of the same color of vinyl, and it's ready to go. So now I'm just going to get my vinyl on my mat. This is not the mat that came with the machine. I purchased several mats separately from probably Amazon, because as you know, mats do warp and get ruined over time. So I'm just going to get my vinyl on and get it loaded into the machine so that we can cut out our words. And let me just say, I do apologize for the lack of focus in some parts of the video. I am using a new camera and I'm still getting used to the focusing and whatnot. So I do apologize. Some of the images seem to be a little distorted or blurry, um, but I will work on that. So just wanted to put that in there as a side note. So obviously I sped that up. It takes a lot longer than that to cut, but nonetheless, when I finish cutting my vinyl, I always pull up one corner of each side just to make sure that it cut, because once you take that out and put it back, load it back in, it's not necessarily going to line up exactly. So I'm just checking to see if it cut before I start weeding the vinyl. And it did well, so I pulled it out of my cutting machine, and you cannot see here, but I can see in the light. It is easier for me to weed out each word rather than to weed the entire sheet. If this were shapes or a pattern of some sort, it would be a little bit easier. But with wording, it is hard for me to just weed the entire sheet, especially when the words are all different and have different angles and curves and whatnot. So I'm just taking my craft knife and I'm just cutting around each individual word. And now I'm just going to weed. I actually did an entire phrase on this one instead of the individual words. I did Son of the Living God. So it just makes it easier to weed in sections like this or by the word rather than the entire sheet. So this is the next vinyl that I'm going to cut the words out of. And then once this is completed, I will do the same thing with the white vinyl. I will cut a sort of a box around a word or a phrase just to make it easier to weed. And then I will move on to the third and final color of vinyl. So now we're on our third vinyl color, and most vinyls come in a roll. I keep some of mine stored flat in a drawer, and some I do keep on the roll. And as you can see, when you do that and you place it on your mat, sometimes it can cause wrinkling. So what I do is I put it on the mat and I take this squeegee, the velvet soft side of the squeegee, so as not to ruin the vinyl, and I just smooth out the creases and the bubbles as much as I can. Now, when I reach a point that it will not smooth out, I just pull the vinyl back, and sometimes that helps, and sometimes it's the piece underneath that is wrinkled, as it is here. And I couldn't really smooth that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and smooth out as much as I can of the vinyl. And that's pretty good, but if the cutter cuts over one of those creases, it will mess up your word. So I'm just going to cut off my excess vinyl, and I'm actually going to turn the mat upside down and cut it from the bottom side, which in my machine you can totally do. I'm not sure about other machines. I've never used anything other than my Pazzles. So again, I don't know if your machine would be able to do that, but that is what I do. And it worked out great. I mean, it didn't have any effect whatsoever on the cutting of the vinyl. That's just a little tip that I use when the vinyl gets wrinkled like that. Oh, and let me mention the reason that it did work so well is because my third set of words did not fill up the entire 12 by 12 inches. So that's why it worked. I failed to mention that. So just be aware, if you are still cutting something that's going to fill up the entire 12 by 12 inches, it could mess up there toward the bottom. But because mine didn't fill it up completely, it was fine. Okay, so now we have all of our vinyl cut, and some of the letters pulled up or messed up when I was weeding them, so I'll have to go back and recut those, but that's okay. But we do have all of our words cut in our 3 vinyls. So that's most of the prep work. Getting the tumbler painted, getting the glitter on, getting the words typed up into the computer and cut out on the vinyl. So that's most of our prep work. I am still going to use this vinyl to use as wraps for the top and the bottom, exposing that center glittered area. So I'm still going to apply that, but first we're going to put a coat of epoxy on, and this is the first part of this video tutorial. Also, I did not mention, I have already gone ahead and applied my transfer tape to the vinyl lettering. So that's why it looks like a checkerboard pattern, because my transfer tape has already been applied, ready to go. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and click on the bell for notifications, because as I just mentioned, this is part 1 of a 2-part Tumbler tutorial. So the second part will be coming up next Monday. So be sure to click on that bell so that you'll be notified when that drops. So thanks for watching, and I hope everyone enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something from it. Please, if you have any questions or comments, leave those below, and I will see you in the next video. Everyone, have a blessed day.